Oh, yeah, it's a rock and roll time on another edition of the Mortgages and BS podcast here on the Alive and Social Network.
I'm doing pretty good, BT, right about now.
Yeah, we use that sound effect on several different shows, and I like it. It really sets the tone. I like it.
Well, the way I look at it, you need a soda, you need a soda.
Yes, sure, an air quote soda. That's what we call that, air quote soda.
How's your week?
Not bad at all. It's been a busy one. I've been out in the garden a whole lot. I got a couple of projects going on to just move things forward. And really, Tommy, correct what was sort of 2 years, maybe even 3, of not neglect, but just not keeping up on things as much as I needed to out in that palatial backyard water feature garden that I have, that landscape garden. It's always looked okay, but I want to bring it to that point now where it's just going to... It's going to be like I feel comfortable having Tom Smith and his lovely wife come by. It's been one of those, you get things going on at your house, and it's like, I don't know if I want to have folks come over and see it when it looks like this. You know what I'm getting at.
I haven't seen it lately, but I remember I seen the pictures of when it was all being done. I thought to myself, this is one of those things you go over, you pretend you're Adam and Eve, and you put a little fig leaf on, you wander around the garden. That thing is, it is that exquisite. It's
I
really
really
nice
appreciate
garden.
that,
It's a really nice garden. Do you have a big snake hanging out somewhere?
Well, I don't have. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. Was a kind compliment for you to pay to me personally after the Adam and Eve.
I don't want to see you in
joke,
I don't want to see you in the fig leaf. No,
Mark, did you feel that was a compliment he paid to me there? I wasn't. I didn't see the snake hanging from a tree. He just talked about fig leaves and such here, Mark Esperson.
I'm just trying to visualize it.
Yeah. Well, all right. Don't spend too much time. Don't spend too much time on it. I know. Yeah. You can answer or not answer on the Mortgages and BS show. Mark Esperson's here from Bonfi. It's good to have you here, brother.
Nice to be here.
So it's been. I'm changing over the pond to a low dose chlorine water feature. Okay. So rather than the water garden thing where you got the plants and the koi fish and all that, which I've done for years, what I'm doing now is changing it over to sort of like a blue pool, as we call them in the landscape world.
Right.
But a lower dose chlorine setting, so that it just keeps the algae at bay. It keeps the critters, the aquatic critters, and all that out of there. But here's the reason why: in the time since 2002, since we built that landscape and did the whole water feature with help from my mortgage pal Tom Smith, I might add, because we took the second out and paid for it, and the whole 9 yards that way.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. Mrs. Turner is not a lake swimmer. And I've known this about my wife since we've been together almost 30 years now. And I've known this, she'll occasionally go into the lake, but she's a, old AAU swimmer from back in the day. And, she's a blue pool swimmer from her time at Interlochen when her grandpa had a, membership there and all that kind of stuff. And she just would prefer that as opposed to lake swimming. So all these damned hot, like the summer months that we've had over the last 3 years where we had, last July, remember? And I think...
how about last week?
Or last week. But you know what I'm getting at? Overnight temps last July, that's when the real light bulb went off. Last July, we didn't... Even overnight temps were 80 plus for the month. And then daytime temps were 90 and 100 plus. And so, Mrs. T would not, she was, I'm not getting in there. I'm not. And then I realized over the, 10 years prior, 11 years, she really never swam in there but 2 or 3 times. And it's like, wow, how bad of a husband am I that I didn't, realize this sooner. And so I'm turning it into more of that sort of amenable chlorine base. Again, low dose chlorine. So it's just a very low level of salt in the water. And then Mrs. T and I can frolic like Adam and Eve. Tom, well said. Got the privacy fence around there. Tommy, well said. Fig leaf, snake, thank you again for the compliment. And so this restoration sort of takes a while. You get there, you got to clean everything out really good and get all the organic material out of there and just, give it a fresh start. So that's what I've been working on.
Now, what's the deepest part of that right now? How deep is it?
It's 30 feet by 18 feet, and it's 4 feet deep in the middle. So,
wow.
It is a swimming pond.
So
that's the idea.
So we could have had fish fries there when you still had koi.
We could have had, there's nothing like a little carp, cooked right. Tastes pretty good.
Yeah, put them on a smoker. I mean,
nothing bad with that. Anyhow, so once I get sort of some of this stuff done, you guys are coming over. We'll party a little more because I'll feel, I'll feel more comfortable about it. You know what I'm saying?
No. There's always that one. When you own a home, there's always that one thing when you're busy and you kind of forget about it, and you want to have people come over. It could be as simple as cleaning a carpet to, extensive.
Exactly. Or I really want to paint the living room before we have folks come over because the dog has, we have have a basset hound or whatever. You know, we
gotta
don't.
spit all
we
over-
used to.
spit all over the wall,
All
yeah,
at
yeah.
about the 3-foot level. Blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
know, I get it, and it's one of those things. And in the back of your mind, going, well, it's just Tom, but Denise is coming too, so it's got to be a little nicer. So.
With you, oh God, yeah. You know, it's a different story with Denise. Come on.
I mean, my wife. I mean, she classes me up. So whenever I go anywhere, it's it's an improvement for
It's
me.
a good thing to marry up. You know what I'm saying?
I
know
outkick
you
my
do.
coverage.
Yeah, that's
Totally
right.
outkick my coverage.
I'll
That's it.
outkick your coverage.
Thank
Good
God
man.
she doesn't listen to this show ever.
Well, you know, if she did, that was a fine compliment. So, you know, she deserves it all.
Man, never mind. I won't even think
Well,
about that.
you
one.
know, I'm saying she deserves it all, you know, for the tolerance level that she has in her life.
She's a
And
saint.
She's a saint. Yep.
a saint.
She's got that glowing little halo hovering over her head the whole time. So that's what the week's been like, and it's been, you know, because I don't
I'm
look at
visualizing that. Hold on. Okay.
Yeah, all right, and how'd that work out for you? Because you know, and it's especially poignant for me because I love to garden, and that's my avocation. That's my spring, summer, and fall thing. You know, I love to get out in the garden, and to have the garden then be the thing that I'm most embarrassed about is like it's a shiv in my heart.
Yeah, but your garden isn't a typical garden. You got to remember that. I mean, people when they talk about garden, they might talk about a vegetable garden with some peppers, some tomatoes, something like that. Throw or pull in the weeds. They take pride in their produce, or they've got some hostas or whatever growing, daylilies, whatever it might be going. You've got a frickin' garden.
Thank you. Yeah, but still,
you could run a tour through there.
But it's fallen behind even by my minimal standards, and so it's getting better though.
Your standards aren't that minimal, but no, I mean,
it's getting better though. So anyhow, we'll be having more parties out there relatively soon, brother.
we could do a show there.
And we will. I mean,
we
that'll
go.
be a lot of fun. We'll do a show there for sure. That'd be a gas.
I do a show at my house, but the neighbors complain about the noise.
Can you just settle down over there a little bit?
You're being too loud.
I know this past week we both lost someone that we had great admiration for from the side of the Hollywood big screen, and that's Omar Sharif. What a great actor. I loved Omar Sharif.
You kind of lose track as we're getting older, much older some of these actors have become and where their health is at. And of course, everything comes up on Facebook right away. So I see it, I'm like, oh my goodness. I mean, I love this guy. I mean, he had that little accent, all that kind of stuff. I mean, guys like him, Yul Brynner, those are the guys I remember from a lot of the movies when I grew up in the 60s. They were the exotic guys.
Oh, yeah.
Lawrence of Arabia, or the guy on the island of Crete, those kinds of things.
Yeah, like Anthony Quinn, right?
I mean, they have lost some great. They lost a great artist there. I mean,
Yeah,
they really
we did. And a world-class, I think this is so fun, a world-class bridge player. I mean, that's how he spent his time between takes on the movie set, was playing bridge. And his skills and acuity became so strong that Omar Sharif became one of the best bridge players on the planet Earth for a long stretch.
I could create a bridge out of cards.
He sort of had a Bill Murray as Carl, the greenskeeper look there on his face there, saying, well, I could build a bridge out of these cards. I got that going for me, which ain't bad.
I don't think the hard stuff's coming down for a while.
It's not coming up for a while.
All right, what else is going on this week? Anything exciting? The boat?
The boat. We need a little update on the Tom Smith, Jimmy Buffett blaring out of the speakers boat.
Boat is going in the water Saturday. We're finally getting it in. Like we talked about last week, we found out what was wrong with it. But we had the family reunion, so we couldn't get in. So I'm pumped up. I'm excited about listening to a little Jimmy Buffett. But it might be a little weird this weekend because, as you know, I got a little crazy the other day, and I just brought home a 9-week-old Boston Terrier.
Oh, my God. It's the cutest damn dog I've ever seen.
And, of course, he's going to have to go out on the boat as well.
Of course.
And I kind of want to name him Buffett, but I'm being voted out on that one.
What's the name so far? Is there a working title?
Well, he was named Bart when we picked him up, but I'm kind of liking Louie.
Louie.
Yeah,
I like Louie.
Little Louie. He looks like a little Yoda, but in the end, I think it's going to be whatever my wife and my 19-year-old daughter decide, and not the rest of the family.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Those are great.
I was thinking something like dumbass, but
my dogs are named.
but my wife said she called me that.
Yeah, exactly. Already taken. I'll be honest with you. My dogs are named Norton and Rusty.
No way.
Yeah, and Norton's got a nickname. It's Norty, and Rusty's got a nickname. It's Russ Gus, and often Gus. And that's from my wife, my daughter, and my son's perspective. Now, I have nicknames for them, too.
Can you say them?
Norton is Dumb Dummy number 1, and Rusty is Dumb Dummy number 2. Norton gets seniority. He's coming up on 14. Rusty's coming up on 7. So the whole dumbass initiative as it relates to dog naming, I'm totally in your wheelhouse, Smith. Totally with you.
It's funny. I mean, you look at how you name kids. I mean, you name kids a totally different way, right? You name an animal based on how the personality they present to themselves or something in your life that you're nuts about, like the geek stuff, right? My brother-in-law has a dog named Rocky, and another dog named Adrian.
Nice.
I'm surprised it's not Rudy because he's a Rudy freak, but he loves Rocky, so he's got Rocky and Adrian.
Rudy, the Sean Astin movie?
Yeah. I'm surprised in that, but it's Rocky and Adrian, so that's kind of funny. And so we're sitting there going, of course, I'm going Jimmy Buffett.
Just trying to hinted in there. JB, JB.
So I tried for Cash, as in Johnny Cash.
Nice.
I tried for Elvis.
Nice.
I've even thrown out Dork. Because he looks like a dork. I mean, he really does.
Well, yeah, that'll change.
It's going to end up. I think it's going to end up being Bart, Louie, or Norm. So,
all right.
I mean, I wasn't named like that. I mean, my parents named me after an angel, actually, or a saint. I mean, we all named like something like that, or after a parent. But you name dogs and animals after.
You got Saint Mark Esperson over here.
Exactly.
Saint Mark, yeah.
I think my wife would dispute that one, but
she's a saint, right?
she's the saint. Yeah.
It sounds like there are halos floating over a couple of wives here. I'm throwing my wife in on that too.
Okay.
Halo. All right.
Shall we jump into some mortgages real fast, and then we can beat Mark up?
Absolutely.
Not a lot this week in the mortgage front, data-wise. I mean, it's all kind of mixed. Mortgage rates are holding. We talked last week about the Feds, and they're saying, hey, we might bump rates up. Again, it's not what they say, it's what they do. We have seen home prices start to taper off from the standpoint of we think buyers or sellers are starting to try to price their houses a little bit too high.
Okay.
Because they really think it's a seller's market.
We've heard that, and that narrative's kind of running through the social world.
Yep. And we're starting to see some issues there that buyers are going, no, that's too much. And we're starting to see some appraisal problems, too, because they're getting a little crazy. So I think home prices are going to stagnate out through the fall and the winter, which is great for first-time buyers. So It's still going to be a good time to be buying. Right. I mean, rates are still low. And with some of the changes coming up in October, and we'll talk more about this on disclosure stuff. I mean, I think people need to be out there and buying now and refinancing now. I don't think they want to wait. And the other thing, why we got Mark here today, is this home warranty stuff. I mean, we were talking before the show about different things, and that's Mark's area of expertise. So we're going to get into that in a few minutes. And it's something that buyers, existing homeowners, can take a look at.
Absolutely.
As well as new buyers. And when I met Mark about a month or two ago, I was like, hey, this is way better than my mini Gasco deal.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm going to see if I can get a heat exchanger out of this yet.
Well, let's see how that works out for you there.
Exactly.
It might be one of those things that you got that going for you, which ain't bad. Part two. Yeah, there are good deals out there, and there are poor deals out there, and there's some middle ground deals, and we're going to talk to Mark more about that in a bit. You brought up I'm really interested in you giving us a little riff on the appraisal thing. When there seems to be a meme in social worlds about home values going up a little higher than they should be, perhaps, do the appraisers help to fuel that, or are they sort of piggybacking on that and telling homeowners that are trying to sell more of what they want to hear?
I could give you an answer about 20 different ways on that, to be honest. Okay. Appraisers have a tough job. I mean,
it is tough.
I mean, they're hired.
And I'm not asking you to malign them.
And they're going out and they're giving a subjective opinion on what they think a home value is worth, and they're trying to identify potential issues, okay? Then you have the home inspector, which is another piece of the equation. And so what the home appraisers basically trying to do is they're trying to warrant the value, not the condition. And what they're doing is they're looking at the comparables. They're out there, all that kind of stuff, what's sold. You're not comparing a Rambler against a duplex and stuff like that.
Right.
I mean, it's got to be tit for tat. And so whenever a value comes in low, obviously the seller is like offended because your house is worth more. And trust me,
this is my home. This is my castle.
I mean, I'd be the same way, right? And if it comes in really high, then of course the seller thinks the agent didn't do their job and they could have got more for the house. And part of what they're doing now is I think that with some of the new rules that put into effect a few years back, appraisers are just trying to make sure they're doing things right without doing things too right. In other words, inflating prices by finding that little whatever. And there's even systems in place now in the conventional loans where once an appraisal is done, it goes in this uniform collateral underwrite deal where they plug the information from the appraisal into a system, and it's actually like an automated value.
Gotcha.
And it's got to come back within a certain tolerance. If it doesn't come back in tolerance,
plus or minus 5% or whatever it is,
the appraiser's got to justify it, and if the appraiser can't justify it, they'll knock the value down.
Wow.
Now that's only on conventional loans right now. So there's all these safeguards that have been put in to prevent.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, but it's there to prevent what happened earlier in this this realm. I mean, 2003 to 2008, it was absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
Homes were doubling in value in 5 years, and appraisers were basically just giving values and stuff. Ethical appraisers, of course, weren't doing that. And that's the thing, is there's good appraisers out there. Now, there are companies that have appraisers that work for them, and I won't mention any names, Wells Fargo. And these appraisers tend to be a little more conservative.
Okay.
And that's because that's what's instilled in them. Now, they're going to hit values on most of the purchases, but they do miss some. But on refinances, you can pretty much guess they're not going to get the values they're looking for. And the larger companies have that issue. So working with companies like Amic, where I'm at, it's a great way because we've got relationships set up out there, but we can't deal with the appraiser one-on-one. But still, they're working for us. I mean, we're their customers.
Yep. All right.
Did I answer the question?
No, you did. I knew you'd bring it up in the context of something that I wanted to hear, which is in anything, whether you're seeking out a mortgage or a home appraiser or whatever the case may be, there are good ones and bad ones out there, and you just ask around and find the best that you can and make it happen in that regard.
Like home warranty companies.
Exactly, home warranty companies like Bonfils, and Mark Esperson's here from Bonfils. Good to have you here again, Mark. Good to have you in the room. Your wife, I might add, just to add a layer, she's an absolute saint.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think so, too.
Absolutely. Mrs. E. We adore her. I haven't met her, but I know when I do, I'll shake her hand and give her a big hug.
Well, she'd like that.
All right, very good. How long have you been doing this thing, man? How long have you been out there, working with families, working with homeowners, and, helping to ensure that sort of the, and we're talking about home, so I don't want to confuse foundation. Obviously, there's the concrete pour and the cinder block foundation.
Yep.
But really, these kind of things, all of the appliances, the heat, the AC, the washer, the dryer, the this, the that, that's the foundation of a home. Every activity in the home revolves around those things,
And
those
those things
mechanical devices, and they break.
Yeah,
right.
they break. They wear down.
What picture did you just show me there? Is that the dog?
I showed you the dog on a pillow thing, and you saw this one earlier, too.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Sorry. My wife's texting me with pictures of the dog. So.
Tommy's passing around pictures of Buffett. See? Look at him.
There you go. There.
Of
Denise,
Cash,
did you hear that?
of Elvis.
Is that dog on your bed?
God, that's a cute
He is.
God,
he can't get up there on his own.
Right.
Is he 6, 8 weeks old now? How old is he?
Supposedly he's 10 weeks old, man, but I'm questioning it.
All right.
Anyway,
sorry. Well, those little terriers, they do travel well. I mean, that's what's cool about those guys.
He came to work today.
They got a great disposition. They travel well too. They fit in the glove compartment.
That's better than us.
They're just the best. Just the best.
Okay.
All right. How long
us.
have you been doing this stuff, Mark?
So I've been doing it for 5 years. Bonfils had home warranties as far as the real estate transactions for 5 years.
Okay.
They've been doing something else called Peace of Mind plans for 12 years.
That's a good marketing scheme right there. Peace of mind. I mean, because that's what it is. You're
Right.
providing that thing, that peace of mind.
Things break.
Now, I got a question because, you and I have talked a little bit, but, okay, so you got companies like, CenterPoint's got their Home Services Plus.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I really want to talk with you because, I'm thinking present homeowner because, obviously this is for a lot of new homeowners.
Right.
How does something like Bonfi differ from like a Home Service Plus type thing? Because based on what I've read, I think it's way better, first of all.
Right. Well, I think so, too.
I'd like you to explain that a little bit
Yeah.
and then how it works for new buyers, too.
Okay. Well, CenterPoint, first off, great company, been around for years, and they have 30,000 customers and 100 technicians. So they can't keep up to demands when it gets super hot like this and all the air conditioners go.
Yeah, everything's going.
Or
right.
in the winter when it's super cold and the furnaces go. So that's one of the problems. They don't cover plumbing and electrical, and they do not. If your heat exchanger cracks, they won't replace it. So you're gonna have to call somebody like Bonfi anyways, or they'll sell you a new furnace.
By the way, you didn't hear me tell you my heat exchanger was cracked, right?
No, I didn't hear anything.
What was that?
That was just a
Short-term memory thing for me. What was that, Tom?
So what we would do if you had us as your company, your warranty company, we'd go out there and just replace the heat exchanger if that's what you wanted to do. Mm-hmm. If you didn't want to put a new heat exchanger in a 20-year-old furnace, we'd help you get a new furnace.
Okay.
So we're going to work with you. We're not going to tell you what you have to do. We're going to suggest some things. You tell us what you want to do.
Now, you said 30,000 customers for CenterPoint, 100 employees. How does that differ for you guys? Because I think you guys have more like alignment type situations so that you can get out there faster and take care of the customer quicker.
Right. We have 50 technicians out there driving around in the Bonfi trucks that work for us. They're Bonfi employees. And, their priority, your priority, if you're one of our Peace of Mind customers or our home warranty customers, you go ahead of anybody that's off the street, not one of our customers. They're just calling us. Your call will go first. We want to take care of our monthly service plan customers.
Which I don't think Home Service Plus does.
I think they'll take whatever call comes.
Comes in first.
Yeah.
And
Just
is in
throwing
the
it
queue.
out there.
Yeah.
Obviously, we had twofold here. We want to educate the novice out there in regards to what the product is. And I want to learn a little bit more about it, too, because you and I talked before, and I'm going, when I saw some of the numbers and what it covers, I'm going, why am I not doing this?
Well, and I'll echo that sentiment because, again, to throw some praise at CenterPoint or what have you, they got a long time company, got a good thing going on. the peace of mind for me at this point in time, but is that it comes out of my monthly bill.
Right.
That
convenience
makes it
part of it.
easy, right?
Yep.
But I think the peace of mind that I might find by adding a few more dollars, I don't know what we'll do a cost comparison here. We'll ask you a little bit about that. But to add a few more dollars to loop in electrical problems, to loop in plumbing problems, to loop in replacements of things where otherwise they wouldn't,
Right.
That might the value becomes,
or to have them there in 24 hours versus 5 days.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I mean, that's
exactly.
I like Centerpoint from the standpoint of how it does that stuff, but there are things it doesn't cover that I already ran into. But it's the waiting for them to get to your house.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I pay for this service. I'm calling you. Why can't you get here tomorrow or today? My air was down for almost 2 weeks.
Come on, 2 weeks?
By the time and I knew what was wrong with it, and they played around with it, and it's a long story, but it was almost a total of 2 weeks before they finally got out, and then they decided I needed a new air conditioner, and I had to wait another week, and it was during a hot stretch, too.
And how old was the old one? I mean, was it replace time? Was it 15 years old?
Well,
12, 15?
It's 12 years old, and the story now is nothing lasts more than 10 to 15 years, of course.
Yeah.
True.
Which I just don't understand. So supposedly everything's better, but it doesn't last as long, right?
Yeah. It's more efficient, but it doesn't last as long.
Right. It's got more to go wrong on it.
So, but Mark, when he was presenting that this one time, there were things he was going through, and that's why I kind of captured my thing. We had talked about this a few times. So, again, I keep jumping in here, and I feel bad about that. But do your deal. I'm going to shut up for a few minutes, and I'm going to drink my soda.
All right, drink that soda. So let me ask you, what is sort of the cost comparison between a more premier-oriented service that you guys have and Home Service Plus? I mean, how big a difference is there?
So if we're comparing Home Service Plus and let's say our Peace of Mind plan, we have 3 different levels. And each time you go up a level, you still get a tune-up every fall on your furnace and every spring on your air conditioner as part of the deal.
That alone is a big deal.
So, yeah.
That alone's $120, just to call for that service, no matter who you call.
It's the old, you can pay me now or you can pay me later.
Right.
And so Pete Bonfi, the owner, just feels like we want to be ahead of the game and give you the maintenance that you need as part of the deal. So that's it. You also get lifetime warranty on any new furnace or air conditioner or water heater that we put in your house as part of the deal as well. So those 2 things there are just added bonuses. If you were to take our silver plan, it's $37 a month. It would be similar to what Home Service Plus is.
Okay.
We don't cover then the plumbing and electrical in that particular service
in that
plan.
silver level, right?
But we will help you and give you 15% off if you have an electrical or plumbing need.
Okay.
But we still will take care of it for you.
Sure.
And I pay $54 to have the tune-ups.
Right.
There you go. Right.
And then our gold plan is $59, and it includes everything. Plumbing, electrical, that's $59 a month. Plus you get the tune-up every fall and every spring. And we take all the old equipment out of the house, too, if we take an old furnace out. I mean, I'm
trying to remember what my HS Plus is, HSP. Plan.
I think the basic is like $34.95.
I was going to say it's about $30-something bucks. It might have started out when I bought my house at $24.95. It's probably $34.95.
And then if you add
right?
the furnace tune-up and the AC tune-up onto it, there's that extra cost, which I've done. That's why I said mine's $54. 54. I know that just off the top of my head. And there's things that still aren't covered, and if you want to add them, it jacks up there. And I think any plan like that, again, where there's Centerpoint, you guys, I think it's great because, I mean, it's kind of like preventative maintenance, just like insurance in a way. You're paying for something because when something does break, it can be expensive. And obviously, I'm not dumb enough to realize that, or I'm smart enough to realize that, no, they're not going to replace my air conditioning unit completely if something breaks down. But you've got the parts and the labor being taken care of on things that are normal wear and tear and stuff like that, and even some abnormal wear and tear. I mean, Centerpoint doesn't do squat with a washer dryer.
Right.
For example, it's like they'll come and do certain things, and then they won't do certain things. And it's like, well, if it's anything with the drum, we're staying away from it.
We're all done, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good to know stuff.
A basic small plumbing repair, you're baselining it at $200 to $300. Right. I mean, just one. For instance, my one of my outdoor water faucets. I didn't cap it right one year, and it was the one tucked away on the side of the house, so I still had the hose hooked up to it, and so that 12-inch burst preventer blew. And I haven't had it done yet. It was a couple of years ago. It's like, well, you know why? Because I know it's going to be like, $300. I really wish I had that water faucet on the side of the house again.
Right.
But it's like $300 that I don't have.
I just had a drain done, and it was $185.
There you go. Well,
Well, and I'm not Mr. Fix-It, so that's why I'm in sales. So, so I don't have my tool belt yet.
I get you. So you're not Timmy the Tool Man.
No, so that's why I have I have the gold plan on my house. Just because if something goes wrong, I call them or my wife calls. Give Bonfie a call; they'll take care of it.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Now, you think, and again, you get the two different parts. So you've got the real estate agents, which I know you guys have done a great job with the real estate agents, where they're out there and they're giving this to buyers up front, or they're suggesting it to buyers up front.
Yep.
This is a great deal, whether you're buying a new home or you already own a home and may have a plan or something like that, because you need to take a look at what you got, right?
Right.
And make sure you're covered.
Absolutely. So, I mean, if you're buying a home for the first time, you have no idea how the seller's taking care of that home. You have no idea what could go wrong. My wife, we've bought 4 homes, sold 4 homes, and every time she moves into a new home, she wants new curtains up. Well, if something breaks, there goes the curtains.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
I mean, it's just a way to protect yourself. You never know when the AC is going to go out, furnace, when you're going to have a big problem. And we even covered the first 100 feet of main sewer line from the house to the street.
Wow.
So if that's plugged up, you give us a call. We'll go on and plug that, and those things happen.
Well, and that's another $1.20 right there.
Right.
$1.20 to $1.30 if
Yep.
you're calling a sewer service of any kind.
Yep.
Right there.
And we do cover your electrical box as well. So
Oh, wow.
Jeez, that just keeps tripping right down the line.
right, and so if you're buying or selling a home, this warranty is $399.
Okay.
So for 13 months of coverage, and it's different from the peace of mind or the monthly service plan.
Sure.
But yet everything's the same as far as the gold plan in our home warranty coverage.
Well, it's one of those things that if a buyer gets something like that, and let's face it, I built a new house. There's something that's going to go wrong, even though the house is new. There's always something goofy, right? So to me, whether it's minute or not, having it even later, it's kind of like title insurance to me. It's like peace of mind insurance.
There
Like
you
you're,
go.
like you're
That's
calling
a good
the policy,
comparison,
right?
Tom.
Because it gives you a peace of mind to know you're paying for something that if something goes wrong, it's taken care of, and you don't have to drop $200, $500, $1,000, $2,000, whatever it could be for labor, all the stuff there, because it adds up. You're paying it over time. You might think to yourself, "Oh, geez, I'm dropping $600 a year." All of a sudden, you have that one thing go wrong. They go, "This could have cost you $1,500."
Right.
And it's like, okay, I guess it wasn't that a bad idea.
Even like if we go back to the heat exchanger, if there is a cracked heat exchanger, they are average about $1,700, $1,800. Well, you're covered up to $2,000 to cover that heat exchanger.
Sure. So that's going to be a replacement just right out of the gate.
Right. So you get a heat exchanger put in.
Yeah. Take care of business right out of the gate.
I think I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I know. it's time for the old switcheroo. I mean that in a positive way.
Well, and we were talking. I just had the situation with CenterPoint, and I've had the CenterPoint HSP plan for a while, and I
have I.
And
For
I do
20
like
years.
it. But for whatever reason, when I have a situation where I really need them to come out, and I'm paying this money every month, they don't. And then I have to listen to my wife, the saint, yell at me and use words because they're not out there
In a saintly fashion.
So then I call them up and I say, "You don't understand. My wife is going to call you. They don't really care."
No, you're just in a line like everyone else.
Oh, but I know you gave a story at that one meeting where this person had a situation, how fast they were out, how fast they took care of it. Give us an example of like a crappy situation that went good fast.
Well, we had a guy that called. They had just closed on the house. Just bought a house, closing day. They're moving in. It was a couple of years ago. It was super hot out. They have friends over. They're moving everything in the house. The doors are open, and the AC quits. Now, this is the first they're moving in. They had just closed that afternoon, moving in that night. And he calls me and says, "You're not going to believe it, but my AC quit. And I've got all these people, and we're moving everything in.
This is go time.
And they're they're going to have a barbecue and they're going to have dinner and stuff. But so I said, let me see what I can do for you. Can't guarantee it, but I'll try and get somebody out there tonight. Called customer service, and they did get out there that night. A couple hours later, but they got a technician over there. Wow!
So it wasn't 2 weeks later.
It was that night.
Like mine.
I had to ask for a favor. I need a favor.
You called one in.
But I called one in, and they got out there, and they took care of them.
But that's what happens also, and it's a praiseful thing to say to a company like Pete Bonfie's company, and that is it's a local neighborhood company. It's been around for years right here in the area, and Pete knows, and you guys all know, these are our neighbors here. This is not a large corporation.
Right.
Locations all over the United States, or in CenterPoint's case, all across the Midwest and center portion of the United States, still a large deal. This is a St. Paul, Minneapolis thing going on with Bonfie's.
Right. And his name's on every truck.
Right.
Every commercial, every, as you drive around, you see him on every billboard. He just wants his customers taken care of like family.
Well, and you know, that's kind of how I was going to say it's how like I've built my business.
Well, that's how the mortgage business works
you look
too,
at a company like
absolutely.
CenterPoint. I mean, I pay my whatever a month. I'm just another number to them, really, right? It's kind of like if you go to a large mortgage company or something like that, you're really just another number. You're just more revenue for them. Whereas smaller companies, especially independent type situations, you're really a customer. You're somebody that is making my bill payments, that's making it possible to feed my kids, to feed my family, for Pete Bonfie to make his mortgage payment.
There's
things
a
like
relationship
that. And it's a relationship building thing, right? And if he does a good job on my house, for example, or if BT did it, and he's doing, we're going to say, hey, you got to go to these guys.
Right.
And so it's a referral type business, whereas CenterPoint puts it in your bill every month, every month, every month, every month, every month, every month. I don't know, man. Like I said, Mark, when I heard you talk about that day, I really liked it. We haven't had a chance to connect on it. I'm going to do it for sure. I know that just because of some things I know that this covers that HSP doesn't, and the difference in the cost right off the bat, just on the basic plan for the tune-ups. It's a no-brainer.
Oh, yeah, that's the difference right
But
there.
to go to the full-blown, I mean, for what was it, $59?
$59.
$59. $5 more than I'm paying now, and it covers my plumbing and my electrical.
Yeah, are you kidding me? If something goes wrong with the fuse box, if something goes wrong with an outlet, if you've got a short that just developed that you don't know what's going on the electrical side, like I mentioned, my outdoor faucet issue or just whatever the case may be.
I won't touch electrical. I won't go near it myself. So, I mean, that $5 is worth it to me just for electrical.
Well, with the exception of plugging in the beer cooler. I mean and the tape deck for the Jimmy Buffett. There's two exceptions to the Tom Smith electrical rule.
That's what
You
friends
mean
are
the
for.
bigger stuff? Because that's pretty big to me.
The bigger stuff.
I know.
Well,
That's
and
pretty big.
when you go back and you look at what I did in the military with everything, it's like, you know, I got my hands dirty. I worked on all these types of things.
You were a nuclear
But
guy.
now I'm like, dude,
I'm
not messing with this stuff. I got zapped once. I refuse to get zapped ever again.
Yeah, once you get zapped, that's it.
I mean, my hair was up. It was,
Zing, zing.
Oh yeah, it was good. I thought I had the current shut off, and I said, "That's it, never again."
Yeah. Mrs. Smith, his mom said, Tommy left a kind and docile man, and he came back from the Navy just a little different. Just a little bit different.
Is it because I glow in the dark?
Maybe that was it. Tommy boy, please come in here. Mama can't find her glasses.
So, Mark, you're where do you live? I mean, right now, what area of town do you live?
Lionel Lakes.
Okay. Now you say you've bought and sold some houses. What do you think when you're buying and selling a house, and you're dealing with the mortgage guy, because we're really scary? What do you think is really important to you, or what questions do you have that you think people should ask a mortgage person?
You know, it was funny because a lot of times I was in sales, so I was gone a lot. The wife would find the house, especially up in Brainerd. She found the house when we moved up to Brainerd for a few years, and then when we moved back, she took care of all that, lined it all up. All I had to do is go sign.
Okay.
So that was my role. I just had to come down, sign papers, and that's what I did. She took care of everything. So,
You don't know what questions to ask?
as far as mortgage goes,
Yeah.
well, yeah. What's the interest rate?
But I bet
I mean,
you'd
how
echo,
many years?
But I bet you'd echo, and your wife certainly would, is that, she developed relationships with people, on that professional level, and that there's a trust that comes from that, and that you form
very
a
true.
bond,
Yep.
and that you know things are going to get done the right way with the right person.
The funny thing is you look at the house, and when we built one of the houses we built, we didn't put a deck into it. We didn't do some things that we should have as we got older and mature, and we should have put them in anyways because it really was very little in a monthly payment.
To add that,
right?
yeah.
So if you would have done that, or you just get afraid of the numbers and kind of get. Or we should have done our last house, and let's pay it in 15 years instead of 30 years.
Right.
That difference is huge. So.
Yeah.
Those
The
are the
interest
things that I
savings
would
are
have
big.
asked. As I go forward, I don't think I'll ever do another one because I'll probably be divorced.
Well, the other thing too-
Packing and moving.
Not with the Saint, you won't. It's funny, Tom. Hold your thought, because I think about that. I'm doing the west wall of my garage. I'm going to redo it because some of the cinder block is sort of bowed in a little bit.
Yep.
And when I'm doing that, I'm going to put a door in there. And it's funny you bring that up, the whole deck thing and the
Yep.
incremental charges, because my house was built in 1968, and every other house on my block, and it was a development back in the day, so you can see the houses that are just like mine, and then the other ones that are just like each other.
Yep.
And every one of them, everyone has a door from the garage to the outside, except for my house. I have to open the big garage door to get in and out of I just want to get in and out.
Right.
I'm gardening. I'm
Right.
doing this. And, the thing that makes me laugh is that given the way home prices were back then, and I'm just thinking about Mr. Cheapskate, the guy that built this house and paid for it, it was probably a $30 charge. $40. And,
You calling me a cheapskate? I don't have a door in the back of my garage either, and I built my house.
Well, no, that's just idiocy.
No, I did it on purpose though,
Why?
because I get to walk around, I get a little more exercise.
Okay, whatever. I just want a little door.
Plus, when you come to my house, you'll see it. It wouldn't have made a lot of sense because the way my
the
incline
slope,
is.
yeah. But you see what I'm saying? It was probably like $20, and Mr. Johnson or whomever the builder was building it for. It's like, well, no, we can just use the garage door. Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Lift it
I'm
up
shaking my fist.
pull
right?
the rope down. And
Exactly. Every damn time. So, when I redo that wall, there's a door going in there, Marky.
Yep.
And a cable jack too.
And a cable jack, too. I already got the cable out there, actually.
Lino Lakes. I like Lino Lakes a lot. But a buddy of mine used to live up there a lot, and of course now you've got Running Aces by Lino Lakes.
Yep.
Living here in the cities, though, think about it. I mean, if we're buying and selling real estate up in Brainerd, it's a lot different the way some of that stuff is done, especially on the mortgage side. Because I'm a small town guy. You go to the local bank. You don't really do that at the local bank anymore either. That's something people have to realize too. Is don't go just to your bank. I mean, check around out there, see what's going on.
Yep.
Get the best deal. And by God, you got to have something like this Bonfi deal. I mean, HSP is a good deal. I'm not.
It is a
deny
good deal.
But
But there are better deals. That's the point.
Especially when you've owned a home for a while and you realize some of the things that can go wrong. A deal like this Bonfi deal, I'm going, why didn't somebody tell me about this sooner?
Yeah, I'm ticking up the price variation in my head alone, just from the occasional sewer draining that I need, the furnace tune-up and the AC tune-up alone, the difference between what I'm paying on that mini Gasco bill. I'm old school. I'm going to call it what it is,
Right.
the mini Gasco bill. But the difference alone is the same as getting the gold plan with you guys.
Oh yeah, I mean
just,
that $5 is nothing on that
Yep.
thing for the plumbing. And
absolutely,
the sewer.
absolutely.
Mark, any words of advice then? What you want to tell the people on that? So, should we just tell them to get a hold of you right away?
Yeah, you can either go online at www.bonfi.com or call me. Call me at 612-221-9112 and love to answer any questions you may have.
And you don't just work with realtors; you'll work with normal folks like us. Well, I don't know if we're normal. But
Yeah, work with everybody.
Even a Tom Smith with his saintly wife. Good to have you here, Mark. Thanks for joining in, man. Good stuff from Bonfi, Bonfe, so bonfi.com. Tommy, have a great time here this week ahead. I hope the boat gets in the water.
I'm excited about the weekend. I'm excited about the boat, and I'm excited about the week ahead. Period.
It's another edition of the Mortgages and BS Show with Tom and BT wrapping up here on the Alive and Social Network. We will see you in a week.